I've wanted a OneWheel since the first time that I saw one. But OneWheels have a fatal flaw. Let me explain. A OneWheel is basically a board and one wheel, obviously. The wheel has a motor inside it, or better said, the wheel is actually a motor, and the board has a sensor that tells it information about how it's oriented and how it is moving. Using the feedback from those sensors, the motor moves either way to keep you balanced on top of it, more or less like an inverted pendulum. I was pretty sure that I was going to clear the table. That means that if you intentionally try to unbalance the board, you start rolling in one direction, and if you unbalance it the other way, it breaks and eventually it stops. But you see, this doesn't always work. As you lean on the board to unbalance it, it goes faster and faster to compensate. But last time I checked, there aren't any infinite speed and power motors laying around in the store shelves. So at one point, the motor on the wheel cannot keep up. And once the board touches the ground, yeah. And that's why I don't own a OneWheel and I go everywhere with my bike. So I thought it would be cool to build a OneWheel that doesn't have this issue, so I could bring it with me to OpenSauce in San Francisco and have Wren from Corridor Digital, which is a top OneWheel rider, to test it. The thing is that this idea came to mind 7 days just before I had to leave to OpenSauce. What was that? 7 days. The idea is simple. Just make a kind of a skateboard that accelerates and steers like a OneWheel, leaning on it, but make it safer by adding a second wheel. Make it a TwoWheeled OneWheel. There wasn't going to be a lot of time to order parts, so I got out everything that I had in stock that could be used for this project and went straight to fabrication. To make the frame as fast as possible, I decided to go with 30-30 aluminum extrusions, which meant making a bunch of cuts and another whole bunch of holes. First, I made a square base frame joining a few extrusions and then went to try and solve the first problem. I need to find a way to lean on the board to brake and accelerate that also keeps the center of gravity low. So my first sleep-deprived instinct was to try and make a full bar linkage. And not only took a lot of work to make, but also after feeling it, I was sure it wasn't going to work. And as this was already pretty late on the third day, I just went home. And of course, at 2:30 in the morning, I woke up with an idea to solve the issue. I want to be able to accelerate and brake by leaning on the board, and I guess that the first idea that comes to mind is to make a seesaw. But I also want to keep the center of gravity low, and this feels like it's going to be too high. But if I could offset the center of rotation of the seesaw all the way up here, it wouldn't be so tall and it would be way more stable. But then you will need to add all this extra scaffolding here that would make for a very spectacular but impractical two-wheeled OneWheel. But what if we could put this on round rails and make the same movement without all the extra scaffolding? And for that, I only need to be able to bend some extrusions. Of course, I didn't have time to go and buy some pipe benders, so I got a piece of MDF and cut a round shape with my router, and then got the extrusion inside the cut and pressed it with a couple of really beefy clamps. And yeah, it worked. So I just had to cut to length the bent part of the extrusions and just very carefully use some screws and T-nuts to fasten the extrusion to the 3D printed part. Oh, and of course complete the rest of the frame. I already had gone through all the effort of finding a way to join two extrusions at 45 degrees using one of these plates, but luckily now that I have to attach the bent extrusions to the frame, I can put all together using the 3D printed brackets. And I also need some skates to roll on the extrusions that I made using nylon wheels that I printed on the Prusa Excel using the amazing nylon flex plate. And while I was doing that, all the parts for the wheels finished printing. The wheels have been designed in sections, so I could split the prints in as many printers as possible, so I just needed to assemble the two halves and remember to get the pulley for the belt in the middle. And now it's just a matter of making a frame for it. And the other wheel is exactly the same with the same frame, but this one has a mount for the motor and the belt tensioner. Both wheels are attached at an angle to the frame, so in theory it should work the same as a skateboard.
Well, that's what it's supposed to be doing.
And finally, I can add the frame for the board. I cannot believe how well it worked. It slides really well, but maybe a little bit too well, because now it's quite easy for this to come out of here, and well, we don't want that. So I added these aluminum squares as end stops. And of course now it stays on the rails, but this feels a little bit too harsh, so I designed a print-in-place spring, but this could easily be destroyed with a full human on top. So it's time for today's video sponsor, PCBWay. So I went to PCBWay.com, uploaded the file, checked that everything was okay, and to be sure it doesn't break, I chose stainless steel. Added the amount and placed the order. As always, the parts were here in no time and the quality is amazing. Look at this. And PCBWay not only does 3D printing, they also do CNC machining, injection molding, sheet metal fabrication, and a lot more. As you can see, the process is super easy and the quality is top-notch. So give PCBWay a try following the link in the description, and now let's bring some power to this contraption. I also made a plate to attach 3 battery sockets to power the thing, and a big beefy cut-off switch, just in case. And now it's just a matter of wiring everything. I'm using 3 18-volt batteries connected in series that raises the voltage slightly over 60 volts. I'm running out of time, but at least I can say that the motor spins. As you may have already guessed that this, as it is going to be a little bit uncomfortable, I'm gonna need to put something on top of it. And I added the springs so I can detect when someone is on top of the board, so it stops when a rider is not found on top of the board anymore, for whatever the reason. And at this point, I just ran out of time. I just wired an Arduino and an IMU and had to start packing to go to the airport. And one of the reasons of using 3030 aluminum extrusions was that it was going to be easy to disassemble and take it with me in my luggage. And I was absolutely sure that it was going to be light enough to fit in just one suitcase. 26 kilos. 26. And that's without tools, spares, clothes, or anything. So I just had to buy another bag for the plane, and it was just 2 bags, 2 full bags. I only have this picture of one of the 2 bags, but as you can see, there is not much space left in there. And if you wonder if you can fly with 3 of these on the plane, yes, you can. As long as they are less than 100 watts each, you can. So when I got there, I reassembled it and tried to program it. And I started having quite a few issues with it. So I decided to go to the venue where everybody was getting ready for opening day, because I knew it was full of really smart people crazy enough to help me. And oh, I was right. I met this bunch there that knew more than I do about anything on this thing.
We're helping Ivan fix this mobile.
We made some progress and we even managed to make a quick test at the end, but it was really sketchy. I kept trying throughout the entire weekend and everybody was so eager to see it working that other creators started chiming in.
Yeah. So maybe bump K down to 3, and what's your I value? What's your integral value?
Like if you put one there, it will keep it from falling out again. It's been 4 minutes, you've already broken and repaired it.
And others even risking their lives.
Oh, where's the dead zone for where it starts?
In the middle, basically where it is now.
Yeah.
So
It
it immediately starts when you hope on it.
But it was scary, to be honest, even though sometimes it looked like it was going to work. But then just a few minutes later, I was fixing a bent screw or a frame that came loose. And at one point, Wren came to give it a go and showed us how it's done.
Just move the balance to the other side.
What the? Oh.
Yeah, this is. Oh.
Dang. Whoa.
That was a pause.
All right, here we go. This is working.
All right.
Dude, yeah, it's working.
On Sunday morning, I found a sports center that was open and bought some rubber bands because I thought that could help me bring the board back to the center. And the last day, without nothing to lose, apart from our physical integrity, we decided to give it a go outside. And I can tell you that several people reviewed the code, and it should immediately stop when either one of the footpaths is released. But sometimes it kept going.
It's not breaking.
And it also was starting immediately when someone stepped on it, which is wrong. And the motor was making this awful noise.
That's slow down.
Okay, I guess I'm going backwards now. Yeah, I'll play. Yeah.
Fortunately, I didn't kill Wren or myself, but now back at my shop with all the tools and spares at my disposal, I need to find out what was wrong with this thing, because definitely that wasn't what I was expecting. So let's get to it. I first tried to fix the weird noises coming from the motor, because if I tried to make any control movement, change of direction or acceleration, it made this. Of course, I swapped the motor controller with no effect whatsoever, and the motor itself with the same outcome. And as I was running out of juice on the batteries and I wanted to keep testing, I decided to try this, which is 1/3 of the voltage but should be fine, it's already made. And something really weird happened.
Yes.
So now it works, right? It seems that these batteries have a MOSFET that cuts the current when you are drawing too much. And it seems that these are meant to be working super fast, as I've read online, so you can get a current cut and be back online super fast, so you don't see any power losses, you don't see any voltage drop, but messes up with the motor controller. But that's just a guess. The thing is that with the other batteries, it works, so my plan is to set up the batteries in parallel instead of in series. That will give us triple the current limit, although the same amount of power. So let's see if I can make some progress doing that. Up to this moment, I've been using an Arduino Due with a 6050 IMU to balance the board, but I can't seem to make it work. So what I've done is that I've screwed a BMI 160 directly to the board, and it's now connected to the motor controller that is running the refloat package, so it does now the balancing on the electronics directly to the motor, and everything should be easier or work or something. And how do you like it? It's trying to stay balanced. It's not strong enough yet, but at least I can start tuning it. Now it's strong enough, but it is resonating. And I think this one was my fault for being weak at the knees. And after a good bunch of hours testing and practicing, I've gotten to this, which I think it's pretty decent. Although I think that this mounting needs some polishing. At this point, I don't think that this is going to get any better, so I think it's time to go outside. The strap is just there so this thing doesn't run away from me, just in case, because I don't trust it. But I made the mistake of holding onto it, and that messes up the balancing. Woo. Woo. And that's how I injured my leg in almost the same spot twice in 2 videos. And I wouldn't say that I made curling easy either. Woo. But if I concentrate and remain really tense, I can go places really slowly. And I could go faster, but there is too much stuff on the way to bail from it, and it feels a little bit too twitchy, and I think as a proof of concept, this is a success. I don't think this is safer than a one wheel, at least not yet, and I have a lot of things that I want to change. Wren gave me a lot of feedback in San Francisco, so this will probably come back, but I think that's it for this video. I'm in one piece, which is awesome. Thanks a lot to all my Patreons and members. Thank you. And now please go and make something!
It's working! It's working!